everybody. Tervetuloa tänne. Tämä on suomalainen puhu tässä, but I want to speak it in English. So in other words, it's going to be a Finnish talk and variety show. And I have, actually this is the first show that will be airing with several more to come. And I will be your host. And my first guest here today is Ralph Tuttila, and he's the leader of the FinnHall orchestra or band that plays around the Twin Cities and throughout U.S. and even been into Finland. And
yes, indeed.
So what is FinnHall?
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Well, FinnHall is a 5-member Finnish ensemble, or dance band as we like to be called. We have been going for about 10 years with the present members, or mostly with the present membership. Go back further than that with different names and various musicians, but we've been FinnHall for about that time. And we play mostly dance music. And we play Finnish, some of the older Finnish music from what our grandparents may have brought over here, or musicians of that time, about 100 years ago, and also a lot of Finnish American music, which was composed by Finnish Americans, of course, in the last 100 years, and then some of the more modern Finnish music, dance music from what I call modern, from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and so forth. So.
Yeah, I wanted to just let everybody know that we're going to have several guests on this show, and some of the entertainers that have been performing with you are also going to be on in the future shows, and we'll be doing video clips of them too. So
great. Maybe
you could mention some of the entertainers that we're talking about.
Yeah, well, the first one that comes to mind is Diane Jarvi, or Diane Järvenpää, known as Diane Jarvi. She's a local recording artist, poet, author, songwriter, singer, and she has performed on stage around the country. She has been Performer of the Year for Finlandia Foundation, which is a whole other subject. And she's been, most recently, we performed on stage with her at Cedar Cultural Center a couple of months back, and she did some solo performing, and I accompanied her on some of her music. And she plays guitar, accompanies herself and on vocals, and also plays a lot of kantele music, which is this sort of instrument right here, an ancient instrument.
Okay, I have another question for you. How was the FinnHall formed, and when did it start out?
Well, are you referring to our FinnHall band?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. We had been playing with under the name of Keskiläinen Pelimanit, which is really hard to pronounce and hard to remember for people. But we had been playing at FinnFest and did some performing in Canada, and had been to Finland once before that as well. But we thought we needed another name at that point, and FinnHall is honoring, the name FinnHall is honoring the old FinnHalls that flourished in the U.S. and Canada from when our grandparents came here in late 1800s, early 1900s, through the 50s, 60s, and there are still a few FinnHalls going. And the FinnHalls were established to provide a place where people could pursue theater, sports, music, dance, community events, and have a gathering place. And there's still one up in Virginia, Minnesota, where we performed recently. So anyway, that's where we took our name from, these old FinnHalls, to preserve that type of music.
And I imagine, well, since the Finnish music and the culture, there's a lot of folk dancers, and you go out and perform when they dance also here in U.S. and in Canada, and they have these, well, to bring to bring the Finnish culture. They have the Fin Fest, and then they combine it with Canada also.
Yeah, there have been a few of those national fests, American Finnish Fest, that have combined with Canada a few times, and so they're North American Finnish Fest. Usually they have their own, but this is an opportunity to play our music and interact with a lot of other musicians and dancers. And some of the members of FinnHall are also accompanying us for a local group called Kisadet, Finnish American Folk Dancers, which I also dance in. So when I'm not dancing, I'm playing. When I'm not playing, I'm dancing. And we perform a lot locally here in the Twin Cities, but also in the Midwest, and the group has traveled to Finland in the past as well. And this is a group that's performing authentic, traditional folk dance from Finland, from way back, as well as some of the more modern choreographed dances that usually come from Finnish folk dancers who have carried on the tradition, a little more contemporary in nature.
So what about the FinnHall Orchestra? What do they play here locally, meaning Twin Cities?
Okay. We play for a lot of social dances, in other words, couples social dances, and do the traditional things like shadish, and of course in Finnish, shadish is called jenka, and we also do polkas and waltzes, mazurkas, and a little known to the world of the Finnish tango. We do a lot of Finnish tango, play a lot of them, and that's really taken off here as well as in Finland in the past, more recent past, and so that's become very much a part of the social dance structure is tango, as well as humpa, which is just sort of another form of a polka, a little slower.
Yeah,
and you were asking about where we play. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I got off
okay.
on. Yeah, we play pretty regularly at a place called Kramarchik's in northeast Minneapolis, and that's a Ukrainian deli and restaurant, and it's kind of our northeast home. We found a home there and have a good following. We play there once a month when we can, and people can come there early in the evening and do some dancing and have some great food. And we also play often at Templar Center, Cedar and Lake Street in Minneapolis on their Sunday dances. We just played there recently and hope to play there monthly until spring and carry this on. We've played at Cedar Cultural Center occasionally, and a lot of other community events, such places as Landmark Center, and of course for the Finnish audiences and Finnish celebrations as well. And you could find more of that out on our website at www.finnhall.com, and our schedule is on there, including if you want to follow us up to Michigan or someplace else.
Right, and when you do go to Michigan, you really got to be careful, because there's plenty of deer out there. So don't drive too fast.
Right, and right now there's a lot of snow up there. I just got back from up there, and it's snow country, so you have to time your visits carefully. You want to be prepared to maybe spend an extra day or so up there.
Right.
Up in the UP, Michigan.
And you mentioned about tangos, and I think in one of these shows in the future, we'll have to have your orchestra here live, and then of course we'll have to have you and your partner do a tango, because that's one of your specialties anyway,
that'd
right?
be fun. That would be fun. That's the only time I usually don't play the music. I tell people my mandolin does not know how to do tango, so I put it down and I find a dance partner at that time if there's somebody available. It's a great dance, yeah.
Yeah, and of course when you play at the dances, you have all kinds of variety. You play Latin, old time, modern.
We play some of those too. Yeah, we play some of those too. Yeah, and more often because music evolves, and we don't want to just stick to one form of music. If we're playing up on the Iron Range in Minnesota, they want some of their traditional polkas and waltzes. That's from the Serbian community and the Slavic community. Those sort of sounds. So we play some of those too. Maybe with a little Finnish flavor, but we play them nevertheless.
Right. Yeah. And I noticed even what we're mentioning about Kramachiks, some of the parents bring their kids along too, and they just have a fabulous time.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah, and it's a joy to see that, because I think what's happened is that our youth is less and less interested in old-time music or folk music, and with the rich culture it contains, and they don't have the opportunity. So if parents can bring the children there, or grandparents bring their children there as well, and they can have fun just jumping around to the polkas and the rhythms, that often leads to their interest in pursuing more of music other than the mainstream.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned that you've been, to Finland performing over there at the Kaustiainen festival, and maybe you could tell me some of what you thought were the highlights by being in Finland.
Well, yeah, the whole trip this past summer was a highlight, of course, but what really stands out to me was the big festival at Kaustiainen, where they have a few thousand performers and maybe 80,000 people coming through during the week, and playing there in front of large audiences. But most touching was when we went out to the village of Köyhäjoki, which is where my grandmother came from, that moved here about 100 years ago, and I still have relatives and cousins there, and we played a concert there with the local folk, and some of them got on stage, and a cousin of mine got on stage with us and sang a song she had written. So that was really meaningful, to take that music all the way around. And other highlights of that trip were playing way up north in Lapland, Samiland, where I bought this neat hat, by the way, reindeer hat, and playing for dances in little communities and big communities, and being on stage and touring it, playing for a sister city at Salo, sister city to St. Anthony. And those are all just great memories that I have of Finland. And of course, doing the tango.
Of course, and the tango is really big over there in Finland too.
It is, yeah.
I think is it over in Seinäjoki? They have a big tango festival.
Seinäjoki, each year for the past maybe 20 years or more, they've had an annual tango festival, and I've been there twice, and it's awesome. A little bit crowded and a little bit ruckus on Saturday night, but there's opportunity to take dance lessons and hear some of the greatest tango bands, and their focus is more on they crown a king and queen, but they're king and queen of singers of tango. So the singing, the music takes precedence over the dancing there.
Right.
Which is opposite of, I think, in other tango.
And let's see, I imagine also when you're in Finland, depending where your flight ended up, you most likely taken the ferries across too, and you got plenty of dancing on those ships too, and they're just like cruise ships.
Yeah, well, this year we didn't, but we took some short excursions off from Turku, where we played on some islands there. But yeah, that's on my agenda next time. But I did take a trip the other time I went to Finland, to a cruise to St. Petersburg, and that was very worthwhile, and there was a lot of partying and music on there, and our band, we were all there, and we ended up playing when the house band just wanted to take a break, and they never came back.
That was great.
So we had fun there. So.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, our segment of this talk portion of the show is coming to an end, and then we're just what we're going to do is just show some highlights of these are video clips that we taken of the performers, and so I'm going to put a bunch of them on, and so then the people can get a idea what the show is all about. And so anyway, I think everybody should enjoy the show.
Thanks. It's been fun.
And that's about it for now, and then we'll just have the clip coming on right after this. And as they say in Finland, heippa, that means goodbye.
Heippa.
And glad everybody got to see the first show, and many more to come.
Kiitos.
Heippa hei.
Thank you very much. We are FinnHall. Okay, I want to introduce the band at this time. Way on the end playing bass in her colorful Sami costume, Mary Obert Hand. And next, with the great Okyanma hat on the accordion and doing some vocals, Al Recco. And on the other accordion, without the hat, but with similar mustache that we three have, Dennis Holnick. And on fiddle, with her pretty Swedish costume on, Cheryl Paschke. And with the Karelian, that's Eastern Finland, Karelian costume on, the other fiddler, Johanna Doty. And I'm Ralph Tuttila.
Vesi musta, laitureihin loiskua, varko. Satamassa kulkija, yön kievon kohta, poika ottaja. Tule vuoteen, tähdet syttyy tutkimaan. Tule myötä, Soitto herää kauhamaan, taas laulu raisuu, viinimaljat kuomaan, taas koskan ruusuu, ota hoitiaan. Seurakseni tanssimaan, kai hetken loppuu, pikarista sallitaan. Jos lähdemmän, tahdon sulle lahjoittaa, saat koskan ruusun, hetkeksi omistaa. Tänä yönä onnis vuosi rohkeaa. Tänä yönä lempi tarjoaa hetkuaan. Tänä vuonna huumaa, huumen antaa tuumintaan. Hän koskan ruusuu, kulkee kukkimaan. Ei vältä kohtaloon rohkeinkaan. Ootloin mulle poika kaukomaan. Tule myötä kapakassa tanssitaan. Tule myötä poika, ot kanssataan.